Hello guys, it's happening. My name is Theyre. I love Jesus, I'm a mom, and I love telling stories, which is exactly what this channel is all about. If you are new here, welcome to the family. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. Thank you so much for clicking play and not just passing by. I hope you like what you see and you stay, but if you don't want to, that's not pressure. There's no pressure in this family. There's no pressure over here. You can just move along, but I hope you like what you see and you stay. And to my returning subscribers, Molweni, hello. Is it Abusheni? Oh, let me not embarrass myself. Hello guys. Hello. Thank you so much for giving me yet another opportunity. I know it's been a while since I've done a sit down shindig, so I'm really excited that you guys have given me another opportunity and bless me with your time. Thank you so much. But before we start and talk about this video and what we're talking about today, I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping, which is, guys, I think I owe you an apology. I just want to say, guys, in the beginning, in the intro video, which I will link down below, I previously mentioned that I wanted to upload one video a month, and I think there were like 2 videos or something like that, where there was like two months, like was a 2-month break, probably like a month and a half, but I think YouTube logs it as 2 months. I just want to say I'm so sorry about that. It wasn't because I wasn't thinking of you guys, it's just that, guys, life happened and I had a slow laptop and I was editing vlogs, and vlogs take a little bit longer to edit than like a sit down video, and so I'm still learning. So I just want to be accountable and say I'm really sorry about that, and I still aim to upload 1 video a month, and I am thinking and praying through what it looks like to be able to do that on a consistent basis and not like do it for some time and there are gaps. I'm working on even trying to do once a month, so I'm really sorry about that. Now let's get to the actual video. Right now that we've done all of that, today, as you can see in the title, I'm talking my top 20 lessons that I learned in my 20s. Guys, to prove that I have been thinking about you, I actually had this video idea when I turned 31 back in March, and I was like, guys, my 20s are over. They are overs. Like, I felt like now I could say I'm in my early 30s, because like when people would ask me my age, I'd be like, no, I'm 30. I'm 30. But now I'm like, I'm in my early 30s. I'm like, I'm in it. Anyway, so the idea came about. I thought about this, when I turned 31. I was like, I could do like a reflection video on the lessons that I learned in my 20s. So how I've structured this video is I have a list of lessons that I've learned. It's like 1 line. Some will explain, some I won't, and I'll like tell fun stories in between the lessons, and that's basically the video. I hope you learn something from it. I hope if you are still in your 20s, you will glean and learn and maybe apply and maybe not prevent yourself from making some of the mistakes that I made. And if you are in your 30s, maybe like it will help you reflect, and there'll be things maybe that 30s plus. I know I do have a 30s plus audience. If you're in your 30s plus, maybe like some of the lessons will resonate with you. Some maybe you'll laugh or whatever. I just hope it's an all-around fun and enjoyable experience with obviously learning and feeling more empowered to live your best life. Also, like, comment down below which number lesson, once you hear them, you like. Comment down below which lessons that you learned that I missed out. Let's engage in the comments after you hear the lessons. But before we get there, before we get into the nitty-gritty and we talk so much, you know what time it is. Let's get into the intro. All right, you guys. Right. We're in it. I'm just gonna get straight into it. I don't like wasting anybody's time over here, so let me get straight into it. Lesson number 1. Are you ready? Drum roll. Lesson number 1 is what I learned in my 20s. Lesson number 1 is whatever you do for God, wholeheartedly so, will never be in vain. even when you are wrong. I was thinking about my 20s and I was like, there's a lot of things that I thought I was doing for God, but in actuality, I was doing it for myself, or lots of things I thought about God that were actually wrong. But I found from experience, when I reflect back on my 20s, whatever investment I had put in God, in my relationship, God, whatever habits, were never in vain, even when they were proven to be wrong. Lesson number two is, it is not everybody who says that they love you, that love you, and sometimes they themselves don't even know it. It is often unintentional and not personal. So when I was thinking about this, it's like there are a lot of people that in my 20s I wholeheartedly thought, I love this one, I love this one. But I think I just really liked what they gave me. I just really liked that they made me feel safe. I like, there was something or I like what they gave me, and it wasn't intentional. I was just like a hurt little 20-year-old and trying to figure it out. And so I learned that in my 20s, sometimes people say they love you, but they don't mean it. I think the biggest I also have a whole video about this. The biggest lesson about love came from my baby daddy. I have a video which I will link also down below, titled "Loving as an Act of Obedience." It comes from my top 5 habits of single mothering. In that video, I talk about loving my baby daddy. I think that's when, which happened like late 20s. That's when I realized, love is actually quite a costly thing. It's not just a feeling of lovely. It's something that sometimes might feel embarrassing and sometimes might feel foolish. The Bible talks about love being patient, kind, never ceasing hope, not envious, not boastful, not keeping a record of wrongs. So sometimes in your 20s you're like, I love you, until that if it's costly to love that person, then you're like, go bye. But that's actually not love. Obviously, there are boundaries, there are friendships that come and go. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the essence of love, and that sometimes love costs suffering, because it's not easy to be patient with people that are mean to you. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's what I mean. So I'm not shading people or any of the like. Right, lesson number 3. If you follow your emotions, you will think that people that hate you love you, and that people that love you hate you. Right, so emotions are good, okay? Emotions are good. We love them. But if you follow your emotions or how people make you feel, you will confuse the two. Right, lesson number 4. Right, conversely though, if you ignore your emotions, you will hurt everybody around you, and especially the people that are close to you, and most definitely yourself. Right, so how this lesson came about. So guys, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a very sensitive person. Like, very little can hurt my feelings. And when I was in my 20s, that used to bother me so much. Like, why am I not tough like other people? And why are other people don't cry as easily as me? Or why are people so tough, man? Why are people more resilient than me? And what I used to do is I used to stuff my feelings down because I didn't have language. I remember, guys, I was even sitting in my room one day in my honors year, and I was like, why am I so sensitive? Because I was so mad, and I was trying to figure out why I'm so sensitive, right? And I did discover some information that was useful, and so useful. I think once I began to accept that I'm a sensitive person, I'm an emotional person, or I'm a person whose emotions are close to their heart, and stuff like that. Once I accepted that, I realized that, okay, I don't need to stuff down my emotions. I can feel, if 20 things offend me, or not rather offend me, hurt my feelings, I can then name those feelings and talk about those feelings. I'm a Christian, so I talk about those feelings to God, and God responds, and the Holy Spirit gives me wisdom. And that really helped me know myself a bit more, know my triggers, be able to set boundaries better. And it hasn't made me any less sensitive. I'm still very sensitive, but I have an awareness of my sensitivities, and I don't let my sensitivities determine my actions, but I'm aware of them. Not something hurts your feelings and I stuff it down, and all of a sudden I'm in a bad mood, and I'm like, what is this thing? What is this word? I forget the word. And I'm like, kind of making everybody miserable and being like moody and being short with everybody around them because something hurt my feelings. Now I know once I'm short, I'm like, go back, what hurt my emotions? What emotion is this? And and all of that stuff. I don't know how to name all of my emotions yet. I don't even know all the range of emotions, but I think ignoring my emotions in my 20s really was something that hurt me, and I realized it quickly, and then I corrected, and I think I've become better and better at that with time. All right, that was lesson number 4. Yes, lesson number 4. Lesson number 5. Who you are is who you have always been and who you will be. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about character issues, because I know people say once a cheater, always a cheater. I'm not talking about character issues. I am talking about your essence. The Bible talks about how before I formed you, I knew you. While you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. I knitted you together. All your days are numbered. All right, and I know what will happen in each day, even before it begins. I think that's what the verse say. I will link that verse down below. So what I learned as I've gone through multiple healing journeys is I'm always coming back to myself. I'm always coming back to who I've always been. I've always been an in-front camera person, Oh guys, I got new hair. Did I tell you? Yeah, I got new hair. I'm no longer the afro person, although I love my afro. So I got new hair. Anyway, sidetrack. That's a side thing. Let's get back to the video. Right? I've always been an in-front camera person. I've always been a person that likes to talk, and I've always been a person that likes to gather people and let's share lessons and let's teach. But throughout my 20s, and even as life continues, I got insecure. Even this YouTube thing. I had this dream about this YouTube thing when I was probably like 21 or 19. No, 19, definitely 19. It was when I'm remembering my room number at rest. Anyway, so when I was 19, and I was like, it's over. What do I ever talk about? Nah. But then I remembered it in my late 20s, at around 28, 29. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've always been this person. I've always had this dream. I've always wanted to do this. And I feel like life is just a thing of coming back to your essence and coming back to yourself. That's what I learned in my 20s. And so I don't know if there's any 10-year-old here who feels like there's like you've lost yourself or whatever. Don't worry, you are always there. Your essence is there. Maybe you might need to do a little bit of healing, might do a little bit of praying, maybe change your circle, maybe change what you watch or whatever. But who you are is who you have always been and who you will always be. It might just change form. And maybe like if you haven't taken stock, just maybe think, am I making that little girl inside of me proud? You probably are, so just pat yourself in the back if maybe you're not a person who has taken stock of who you are or whatever. Okay, lesson number 6. Lesson number 6 is there are some things that you can't know and don't have the capacity to know until the time to know it comes. I think once I did a lot of healing and a lot of reflecting, a lot of growing, there were times and moments even in my 20s where I was like, yo, why didn't I know that before I made that mistake? Or like, why didn't I know that sooner? I think the older gen might get this, or maybe if you're still in your 20s you might not. I don't know, but I learned this in my 20s and unfortunately can't remember when. Probably later, after 25. And I had to come to the realization is there's something the things that I just can't know and don't know until the time to know them comes. And before I knew those things, I would have made mistakes because of the lack of knowledge, So even now in my 30s, I'm sure there's certain truths, I still believe there's certain truths that I probably can't receive. Even if I hear it with the most humble soul, I still don't understand them, and I keep them in my head now. Obviously now I'm older and more humble. I welcome things and I try to reflect on them. And if it's not sticking, I just give them to God and like, God, maybe it's just not the time for me to know this, as wise as it sounds. So I think it helped me to know in my 20s, that was lesson number 6, is there's just some things that I just can't know and don't know until the time to know them comes. which helped me rest a lot. Lesson number 7. It is not everything that is offensive that offends you. You are just young. My God, I was an offendable person. Now it's different to the sensitivity. It's like just like I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to be offended in my 20s. I was that kind of person. But luckily I had people, and I had a church and I think it was my discipler at the time, or somebody told me at the time, it's like, girl, not everything that offends you is offensive. Now I didn't believe them at that time. I really honestly didn't believe them, but I think I had a submitted heart, like I was submitted to their leadership, and I'm not even sure I understood what they meant. But honestly, now that I'm 30 plus, I've only been 30 for like 2 years, but now that I'm 30 plus, I know that it's not everything that offends me that is offensive. I'm just young, and I honestly, similar to like the knowledge thing, I honestly think like this is one of those truths that I don't think I had the capacity to kind of know and understand until the time passed. So I don't know, like I think it was part of my development to be offended by things and wrestle with that. But I think what was helpful for me is that when I was offended, I believe that what was offending me was offensive, but luckily I had people who told me that not everything that offends me is offensive. So I had that extra, reflective thing. So I can still say now they were right. Lesson number 7, not everything that offends me is offensive. I'm just young. Just young. At least now in my 30s, I know that. So I found now in my 30s as well that if I'm offended by something, it's probably triggering some trauma inside of me. But I didn't have that capacity. Oh, sorry guys, that is school children. Guys, comment down below, in your area, do the school transport people come and be so loud? I don't understand, why do they do that? Why do they do that, guys? Even like now they're dropping the kids. I guess they're alerting the parents. Don't parents know when their children are coming home from school? I don't know. That's what that beep was, if you heard it. Anyway, comment down below, what has been your experience with school transports and why do they do that? Anyway, let's get back to our lessons. We digress. Away with school transport and back with the lessons. Okay, so lesson number 7. Not everything that offends you is offensive. Right. Lesson number 8. Listen when quiet people speak. They are not always right, but they often do not waste their words. I learned this from a friend. Unfortunately, that friendship ended, but she really taught me. She was a very quiet person, and she really taught me like a lot about quiet people, because she told me, like, when you're speaking, I was like, why don't quiet people speak? And then she'd like, no, when you're speaking to a quiet person, leave room for awkward silence, which I hated as I talk with the person, because that's when they are thinking. And I began to see and read about quiet people. I was really like this psychology stuff, and quiet people spend a lot of time in their heads, and they spend a lot of time thinking. So what I found from experience and from reading and from that friend is that by the time they speak, they would have thought through what they are speaking. So now in a crowd, when a quiet person speaks, or when a person who typically doesn't say much speak, I am all ears, because they have access to things that I won't necessarily have access to, because I don't spend a lot of time thinking. If I'm in a crowd, I'm usually interacting and just I don't know what this is, and just being. So I found a lot of value, and I'll sometimes go specifically to quiet people and try to talk to them and try to listen to them, which has helped me so much become a better listener, because I just want to talk. I'm still learning how to listen. I'm still growing in my ability to listen. But the lesson number 8 is I've gotten so much value from listening to quiet people. Lesson number 9, mean people are not always wrong. They just mean. This lesson I learned from my baby daddy, you guys. Okay, now he's not a mean person. Honestly, he's very kind. Actually, he's not mean, but he's very logical and very straightforward, and probably didn't understand that he gets further with me if he first compliments what I'm doing right and then tells me what I'm doing wrong. So he would tell me parenting things like, this is wrong, this is right, and I was like, how dare you? I'm the one. You don't even live with this child. I'm the one caring for this child. And then like moments later or weeks later, I'm like, he was right. Then I was like, oh, okay. Maybe he is right sometimes. So I think that's the best way to explain. Which is sometimes people may seem mean, or sometimes they are genuinely mean, but they're not always wrong. Maybe they're just mean. Maybe their tone is, there's this thing where people say like, my parents were right, I just didn't like their tone. Yeah, that's what I learned in my 20s and through the example that I just provided. Conversely, lesson number 9, nice people aren't always right. They're also just nice. Guys, have you ever asked directions from a nice person, ne? And they tell you, they're like, you can go this way, go straight, and you believe them, and then down the line you're like, ask another person, and the other person is like, Chomi, you are in the completely wrong direction, you have to go all the way back there. And you're like, hi boo. And you feel so I feel so betrayed in those situations. But that's just like an example of like how nice people are not always right. They're just nice, they just know how to talk to people nicely. All right, lesson number 10. It is not everything that you think that is right. Check your thoughts. In my 20s, I had to learn that not everything that's in my mind is right. Probably not everything that is in my mind is not from me. Especially in the age of social media, it could be from social media, it could be your surroundings, it could be your friends, it could be what someone important to you said. So just check your thoughts. Like if you feel like, especially things that you feel strongly about. I think, sorry, this is not an advice thing, but I thought like now check my thoughts, and like if I feel strongly about something, I'm like, why do I think that? And then think about it a little bit more. And I've found a lot of fruit from doing that, because we are, especially in these times, in these YouTube times, there's a lot of information coming in, and also if you're a spiritual person, there's also some spiritual dynamics there. But not everything that you think is right. Not everything that you think about yourself. If you think, oh, I'm so ugly, it could have been influenced by a bully back when you were 10, or it could have been influenced by someone mean. Or I used to think I'm really, really dumb in varsity because I was failing so much, but it wasn't true. There were a lot of things that were like my underdeveloped brain, and not knowing how to study, and a lot of things were influencing my failing, anxiety and all of that stuff. It wasn't because I was dumb. Luckily I had people that were always affirming me. I still didn't believe them, but you know what I mean. So check your thoughts. That was lesson number 11. 10, 11, 12. That was lesson number 12. Now we're at lesson number, that was lesson number 11. Now we are at lesson number 12. Right, lesson number 12. Hey, my friend, life is spiritual, so stay woke and stay prayerful. Maybe this one might apply more to I think this is true about life in general, but maybe it might resonate more with the Christians. So if you're non-Christian, we're not excluding you, but guys, hey, what I learned, especially in my late 20s, life is spiritual. Hey, there is spiritual activity happening. Guys, there is spiritual activity happening all the time. It's not everything that you see that is as is. Some things that you see, there's some influence. Hey, guys. So I learned in my late 20s in a very hard and life is spiritual. Stay woke and stay prayerful. And nugget, I pray in the name of Jesus Christ to God the Father by the power of the Holy Spirit, because I am a Christian. So guys, life is spiritual. Life is spiritual. Just stay woke. If you are in your 20s, I would say stay woke. Stay woke and pray. Pray like your life depends on it, because it does. Don't be weird, but just stay praying. Okay. Yo, oopsie, you guys. I forgot lesson number 13. I got confused between the school transport and I got confused. Lesson number 13 is attaching your value to your performance is counterproductive. It puts unnecessary pressure on yourself and stunts your growth. Now, this lesson, I remember when it was, I learned it from one of my pastors. I remember we had like a training school, and she came up to me and she's like, "You won't like your performance. I'm gonna tell you like until you blue in the face." And I was like, "Why is this lady so excited? And what is going on with her?" But for some reason, what she said stuck with me and resonated with me, and so I began to like kind of. I never understood it, but I was like, okay, it must be true. She's amazing, whatever. And years later, I noticed I had high anxiety. I didn't want to try new things, and I was afraid of failure because I had attached my value as a person to the product or to the performance, which is absolutely not true. Yes, of course, we put failure is not nice, and we put our heart and soul into things. I look at my videos now. My first video that I linked the link below, I looked at it and I'm like, what's going on here? Why are you like, there's so much wrong here. But at that moment, I put my heart and soul in there, and it was everything that I could do. I mean, it was the best that I could do at that moment. And so obviously, if at that time I didn't have the time, someone said something mean, it would hurt my feelings, but it's not who I am. And I think that's what makes me brave to come and share on YouTube as well. I know, Guti, you know what, guys, even if this whole YouTube thing flops, which it won't, I know, Guti, the performance of my YouTube channel is not who I am. Me, I'm a child of God. I'm like loved by God and stuff like that. And my performance does not determine my value, So that's what I mean by that lesson. Okay, guys, let's get back to the video. Sorry about that. Lesson number 14. God is not who you feel he is or who you think he is. He is who he is. Yo, I also learned this the hard way, guys. Yazini, you can have all these feelings about God. Like, I used to feel like God is so unfair, to Lot's wife. There's a story in the Bible, if you're not familiar, where there was like a place where bad things were happening. And then God was like, I'm going to destroy that place. And then he was like, went to Lot, a name of the character, and his wife and his family is like, okay, you guys leave because I'm going to destroy this place. But make sure when you leave, don't look back, okay? Don't look back. What did Lot's wife do? Look back. And what happened? He turned to a pillar of salt. And I was like, God, that's so mean. Like, you're so like you're a mean person. Like, that's mean. But God's not mean. He's just who he is. He said what he said, and that's just the end of the story. And like, even with thinking, you can like deconstruct and construct and have these logically sound things and arguments and debates. Oksalayo, what I learned, sometimes the hard way, is that God is who he is. He's God. If it's green, it's green. If it's red, it's red. If he said yes, he said yes. If he said no, he said no. He's who he is. He is kind. He is compassionate. He is loving. Yes, he is, of course, strict because he is a father. He is sovereign. He is a king, of course. But he is loving. He's a provider. He's compassionate. He is strong. He is powerful. He is all that he is. If you think he's weak that's a you problem. Anyway, I learned basically lesson number 15. I learned God is not who I feel he is. It is not who I think he is. He is who he is. And how I find out who he is by reading the Bible, because those things that are happening in the Bible are actually powerful. I can't just feel, but I feel like waking up. I can't just think and read other books or other things or other people's thoughts. To go there in the Bible by itself and see who he is, because that's the thing that's unchanging. Okay, right. Lesson number 16. Lesson number 16, what I learned is, no matter how much you pray, try or no, if it's not the season for it, it is not. Sorry, that's not lesson number 16. I just looked down at my notes. It's lesson number 15. My bad. Lesson number 15. Sorry. Lesson number 15. Let's start over. Lesson number 15 is, no matter how much you pray, try and know. If it's not the season for it, it's not the season for it. It's just not the time. Like, it's just not the time. There have been seasons. Oh, yeah, this season, an example for this was when, right after I fell pregnant and gave birth, like, that season felt so heavy, man, you guys, because I was grieving, I guess. I was grieving having a child outside of wedlock, and all of that. Oh, and every other thing that I was grieving. I actually also explained that in another episode in the series titled Pregnant Christian and Unmarried, episode 2, which I will link below. But And I was like, where is this heaviness? Why am I feeling so heavy? Because now I'm a joyous person, God, don't you give us joy for morning? Come on, God. But that time was a season where I was grieving. And although I did have joy, because joy is not a feeling, it's a heart posture, and it's not noise levels, it's not dancing, it is a heart posture. But there was that heaviness, and that heaviness was there because I was in a season where I was grieving. And so it doesn't matter how many scriptures I quoted, if the points are not coming to if it's a season for rest, no matter how much you try to find work or do whatever, it's a season for rest. Just lean into the season, So that's what I learned, and that really helped me become more content. I don't stop praying, of course. I don't stop trying. I don't stop contending for my joy and my smile. I don't stop worshiping. But if it's a season for grieving, if it's a heavy season, it's a heavy season, and you just go with it. That's what I learned. That was lesson number 15. Yes. And lesson number 16. Lesson number 16. If it's not happening, my dear, consider if it is God's will for you. Now, it sounds similar to that, but it's actually a little bit different. If like something is not happening, if you've tried your best, you've checked, it's the season, I'm in the right season. You've checked, I am praying, you've ticked the boxes, but it's not happening. Just check if it's the will of God for you. Like maybe you have a baby right now. Hey guys, it's just not happening. It's just not looking cuter. You're like, my baby. Oh, if I love my baby for more, if I pray more for my baby, if we go to church, if we go to 5 services a day, if we do this, it's not becoming cuter. It's just becoming worse. Just take a moment and think, is this God's will for me? Yeah, that's what I learned. Is like, I'm trying to push friendships. I'm trying to push this. It's just not becoming. God, is it your will for me? Pray and then see. It could be it's God's will and God is saying persevere. It could be that it's not God's will and God says, let it go, my darling. Just let it fly away. I don't know what that is. Just let it go. That was lesson number, I need to look down my notes. Lesson number 16. Yes, we're almost there. Lesson number 17. Lesson number 17 is people will always people. Love them anyways, but guard your heart. The greatest thing I have done, I think, and chosen to do is to love people. In my 20s, I think that's the one thing that I don't regret the most. Yes, I said earlier I might have not done it really well, but making it an investment to love people is, I think, one of the greatest things that you can do as a human being. And when I say people will hurt you. Like I've been hurt by people that I've loved the most and given myself to, but like I have the thing that I don't regret the most is loving people. I have 0 regrets. Now I've learned healthier ways to love people. That's why I say guard your heart. I've learned that people are hurting. People are people. People are hurting. People have their own things. People have their own misconceptions. People are just people. I have my own things. I've hurt people as well that were loving me. But like all that hurt and all that pain, I think I've learned in my 20s, it shouldn't harden my heart towards loving people. I just need to learn to guard my heart. And by guard my heart, I don't mean build a billion walls, which can be the temptation, but like just be careful, like be more discerning, That's what I mean. But love people anyway is a lesson number 17 that I learned in my 20s. Lesson number 18. Lesson number 18 is I learned by reflecting back on my 20s. Time and energy spent in and for the church has been my greatest investment. Back then in my 20s, every year I would pray at the top of the year. I'm like, God, would you like me to invest in the church right now? And I'm not talking about church, the building. So some of the investment that I did in the church actually happened outside of church walls, happened outside of Sunday, with none of my pastors ever knowing that. But energy I've spent in and for the church, whether it's discipling people, walking with people, or whether it's praying, whether it's making sure that I come. Okay, I've never been good at this, but making sure that I come early at church to set up chairs, whatever. making sure that I actually show up to church even when it's difficult. But I learned in my 20s, all of the investment I put in the church has been my greatest investment. It's where my greatest wins have come from. You know, guys, I'm an educated person. I've been to therapy, and those things are really, really valuable. Like, they're good. But I found success in therapy, success in education, success in my career, success in everything in everything that I've done in my life. I have always been able to tie it back to the investment that I put into the church. That is the people of God. And obviously it is on Sundays, it is attending Bible studies, but it's also serving outside the church in invisible ways that no one will ever know but God. But those investments, that energy and that time, I cannot think of an example where I've spent time in the church and I've lost more than one, even in the areas where there's been hurt. Like, even my most hurtful relationships in the church have been like, I've been able to use those lessons in those relationships to propel me forward, to help me with other difficult relationships, you know. So time and energy spent in and for the church, I can say, has been my greatest investment. And then lesson number 19, don't worry, be happy. Lesson number 19, don't worry, be happy. You know, I used to be such an anxious person, and anxiety still comes back, and such a waste of time. And like, opposite to the lesson, such a waste of time. Like, anxiety is the biggest way I wasted my time in my 20s is through anxiety. I know sometimes, obviously, I was still young and I was still learning, and it's just a waste of time. Now I'm just like, don't worry, be happy. And obviously anxiety still comes, and I've got, you know, tools right now to help me with that. But don't worry, be happy is my lesson. Anxiety is a waste of time. Worry is a waste of time. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. And then finally, lesson number 20. God will always have the last laugh in every situation, in every relationship, in every season, in every time. God is always going to have the last laugh. The joke is either on you or the joke is you. Otherwise, God will always have the last laugh. Just trust him, follow him, and love him with your whole heart. And yeah, and somebody's calling me on my phone. That's why I'm distracted. Sorry. Just end that. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to put my phone in flight mode. Anyway, God will always have the last laugh, and that is my top 20 lessons that I learned in my 20s. I hope, guys, you enjoyed that videos and those lessons and those in between stories. Please comment down below which lesson that you liked the most or resonated with the most, which lesson that you learned, which was new. Tell me anything. Now tell me about your lessons in your 20s. What are you learning currently in your 20s? What did you learn in your 20s? And just like, talk to me in the comments. I really like hearing from you guys, and that's where I end today's videos. And as usual, guys, I forgot before I end, guys, I forgot to say, I'm on 199 subscribers. Please subscribe so I get to 200. Guys, I'm so excited and so grateful. Thank you to my 198 subscribers. But if you are new here and you're like, I like it, please hit that subscribe button below so I get to 200 subscribers and I celebrate. Yeah, okay, now let's close the video. Now, as usual, I sincerely pray that you experience Jesus and joy today. Goodbye. You have a good one.